everyone. My name's Kate. I'm an intern for the Fletcher Collective, and today I'm here with Lo Harris, interviewing her for the Purpose for the Passion campaign. So we're just going to start off. The first question is just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Hello, Kate. Hello, Fletcher Collective. My name is Lo Harris, and I'm an illustrator and animator based in Brooklyn, New York. I primarily create works that are focused on vibrance, confidence, and joy, and narratives of a more just and kind world. I use a lot of strong figures, very relational compositions, very bold colors to really execute that vision. And I always, always, always create from a rhetoric of joy in all that I do.
Awesome. And the next question is, what are your upcoming goals?
My upcoming goals. I recently left my full-time job in news to pursue art full time. So my goal for 2021 is really to get settled into that. It's to um take a bet on myself, or continue to take a bet on myself, and to invest in myself and believe in my craft, and to set myself up for success and longevity in pursuing a career that I actually am finding to really love so far.
Awesome, cool. And this one's a little bit more personal about you, but what do you do when you're feeling down?
When I'm feel I love The Sims. This is like a very strange quirk of mine, but I really am a big fan of the Sims franchise, a little game, and I love to just like play The Sims, or listen to music, or listen to music while playing The Sims. Really just something to unwind and to really sort of tell stories in a fun way and try different things and create cool characters in like a low stakes way that isn't for any sort of monetary value.
Cool. Also, who are your core supporters in your life?
So my core supporters would be my family, definitely. The Harrises really hold me down. My aunt is an educator. My mom, was like a harpist. My dad has always been very entrepreneurial. My uncles are all very supportive, and I think that they have definitely helped me adjust to sort of taking this leap of faith, especially as a risk averse person, when it comes to kind of quitting your job and doing art. They've really enabled me to really kind of own that process and to be as equipped as I can be to really sort of tackle that process in my own way. And then, of course, I have, supportive friends as well who some of them practice art or creative things, some of them don't. But it's always nice to sort of have friends that you can not sort of relate to and talk about things with, and the people who aren't practicing art oftentimes have very enlightening perspectives that maybe an artist who's very in their head about their craft might not necessarily consider.
No, that makes a lot of sense. The next question is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
The advice I would give to my younger self is to be nicer to yourself. I think that, and this is like a thing that can apply to a lot of people. I know that I definitely struggled with confidence. I struggled with believing in myself. I struggled with feeling like I deserved certain things or deserved to be treated in certain ways. And that was something, this idea of self-esteem, this idea of self-worth, and advocating for oneself is something that I really had to grow into, as I got older and as I went deeper into my 20s. And I can firmly say, as a 25-year-old right now, that the last couple of years have been so integral to that process of learning how to actually take a step and step back and say, oh, let me like not beat myself up too bad about this. Like, let me be kinder to myself, because at the end of the day, you're with you.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. And the next question is, what do you feel holds you back?
I think the thing that might hold me back is that I like to do things the right way. And sometimes that means that I might start a process and then I feel like I'm going in the wrong direction of that process, or I'm not approaching that process in the right way, and I stop my progress and I go back to square one. And this is something I've been working through, and definitely I've gotten to make it less of a thing, like as I've moved through my early career as an artist. But I definitely think that being able to be okay with creating, even if your skill level doesn't necessarily match your tastes at the moment. Like there's like an Ira Glass, quote about that, about many creatives go through this process where they get into the craft because they have taste and they know it looks good and they can see themselves making that thing that looks good, but they don't necessarily have the language or the technical skills to actually act on that, to act on those tastes. And so it's a very frustrating cycle that many artists choose to quit creating art, within that cycle. So for me, me stopping my progress and me stopping, my journey and reassessing too much, like that's kind of a side effect of that cycle. That's a way that that cycle is sort of revealing itself within my own practice. So getting out of that cycle and really kind of coming over that hill where I can actually um, do something, and even if it's not perfect, it does sort of reflect what I'm trying to do, and I can do it again always. I can always do it again. That's been a very important thing for me to remember as I work through that.
Awesome. Yeah. The next question is, could you share your stance or some input on a current political or social issue going on right now, something that you care about?
Yeah, I am not going to volunteer myself as like a spokesperson for any one particular event or a particular movement. But I will say, at the cornerstones of my work is a sense of humanity, a sense of optimism, but never blind optimism, never toxic optimism. It's always optimism that acknowledges the injustice in the world, and an optimism that answers the question of what would it look like if we engage with that in such a way that we changed it and we address those problems. That's like the kind of world that I want to build through my work. And I think that because of the open-endedness of goodness that I'm trying to project, through my art, I mean, being a Black woman, like obviously, like Black Lives Matter is an important issue. Women's rights is an important issue. Um, Immigration, the border, you know what I mean? All of these things are things that my work can stand behind.
Yeah.
And I want to be an advocate, even if I'm not the main person taking a stand, because I never want to take up space and a situation where it's not necessarily, I'm not the most educated person, but I always want to, be some sort of satellite advocate or ally to certain things that align with my values of humanity and joy and justice and kindness.
Awesome. I like that. And the last question is, which you kind of touched on a little bit, but what is the purpose for your passion? What drives you? What makes you do what you do?
Absolutely. I think that at the core of everything, my illustration work is something that has become a bit of like a self actualization process. I think that a lot of the things that I publish, whether it's, oh, step into the unknown boldly, advocate for yourself, like do this, do that, like all of these like self restorative things are things that I am actively trying to learn myself. And when I'm creating this work. And I just feel like these lessons are just so important and they're actively changing my life in real time. I want to be able to offer some sort of visual resource or inspiration or hallelujah or, whatever to people who may be going through a similar process or who are on the cusp of a similar process and want to see positive affirmations within the world that are reinforcing their own self actualization, their own journey toward self love. So, at the root of it, you know what I mean? This is a very personal process for me. I don't necessarily create my art to be consumed in a particular way or like to be seen by people in a particular way. The art that I create that's non-commission work, the art that comes directly from me, is a direct reflection of things that I'm engaging with personally. And if people happen to also relate to that, that's even better.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you.